I chose Epitech because, I was really young. I didn't know where to go. And I came to Epitech and it was like, not a revelation, but at this moment I knew that I wanted to do that. Basically, the selling point was, okay, you're gonna do what you want, you're gonna learn what you are interested in, you're gonna have a job in a fulfilling position, and it deliver on that. When I entered Epitech, I was interested in technology, of course. I was interested in working in a field that has a lot of potential, and these points really attracted to me to enter Epitech. Now, having done Epitech, at the end, for me, this is definitely the real experience that you get from it. What you do in Epitech, you will do exactly the same in a company just after. The experience that it gives you going into a company and the confidence into doing what we do in a company, this real-world experience is very valuable. And to me, that's what makes Epitech popular. You go into a company, you know how to do, you adapt very fast. So that the company really like what you are doing and to have very competent students that are very useful in what they do and not just learning. So yeah, definitely being able to have a proper before taste of what we do in a company, have the real world experience, and overall the language that we do, especially in the third year, is directly the language that are sought after for the companies. Okay, to me, Epitech is the only correct way to learn programming. In most user university and students that I could talk with from other universities, when they learn code, it's ridiculous. They learn to code on paper. Maybe they get the logic, but they don't get the real approach. When you learn code, you want to experiment yourself. You want to make a lot of mistakes and correct them. You want to learn to solve problems. That's something that they don't do in other university. In other university, they continue the same thing that they were doing before. You learn, you memorize, maybe you learn some stuff by heart, and then you don't really know how to code. You just memorized a bunch of things. In Epitech, this is where we have the real approach to coding. You have to experiment. You have to learn to search on how to solve the problems. And all this experience, that will be, it's very useful to learn like that. So we code on computers, something that can seem very laughable, but that's something that all the universities do. We don't have any exam on papers. We have the modules that are very up to date for what we want to do. So in reality, if you want to learn programming, this is Epitech. In Epitech, you code, you learn the code by yourself, the logic, the application. You don't want to go in a university where you will code on paper. Best experience, I think, was the transition from third year to fourth year. The third year, because this is when we start doing less theoretical and very application on what we know. So IA was really interesting, artificial intelligence, real website development was really interesting. All the innovation track on the third year, so building a project from the ground up, presenting it, researching it, and building a project was really interesting. And the transition into the fourth year, going abroad into an Epitech partner university, learning a lot of more things, taking all that we've learned and put it into perspective and continuing the project. So really, third year plus the transition into the fourth year was definitely the best experience. Fourth year was amazing. Okay, this is really interesting because it made me realize by teaching on the potential of the pedagogy that we have. Learning by project, now that I'm the one teaching in this kind of pedagogy, I can see all the benefits that I didn't really see as a student. And now as a teacher, yeah, this is great because I know that the student that I have, I can imagine what they will be in 3 years, in 4 years, in 5 years. Some students, I'm sure that they will have a good career, that they have the correct approach to programming in order to be very efficient in the job and very successful in the job. So it makes me really happy because I know that some of the students that we have, they will succeed. And maybe because of me, maybe at some part because of the pedagogy, of course, because of their efforts, of course. That's a good feeling to know that some of the students that we have, it's certain that they will have a good career. The best takeaway is definitely being able to adapt to new technology and to new problems. Learning a particular language and framework, that's a thing, but maybe the language or framework that you learn will be deprecated in 3 years. That's something that we absolutely want to avoid at Epitech. So in what we learn the very basic language because that teaches you the base logic that you can apply to any tool. So an Epitech student, and for me one of the most important skills is that you will, when you arrive into a new technology or something that is new or a problematic that is new, not only you will be able to adapt very fast, but you will also be able to be efficient very fast and propose solutions that maybe nobody thought about before. And that's definitely one of the skills that is the most important to me. C and C++ are very hard and I would say textbook language. You have to understand exactly what you are doing in order to do stuff. The problem with modern language is that they do all the stuff for you. You don't really get to know what's happening behind. By learning C and C++, you see exactly what is behind. You manipulate the memory yourself. Every part that might be too easy in another language, then you actually see what is behind. It can seem very tedious, but in reality, the knowledge and the insight it gives you, whenever there is an error in any other language, then you can know exactly what is happening and adapt on that. You never run into a block that will block you from real because you don't understand what is behind. So we learn these base languages that seems very hard. Well, not only because every other language is derived from those, mostly, especially C++. We have a lot of language nowadays that are derived from C++, but the concept that it teaches you and how it teaches them is very good for the rest. I would say Epitech is very hard. That's something that I never hide. Epitech is very hard, but that's fine. It's better to struggle when you are learning than you will actually get into a company. Epitech is very hard, but I think that's actually a good point. You want to learn by the hard way going into Epitech, and you want to have the easiest life possible going into a company. And definitely that's something very important to me as well.